What is the weirdest thing you've caught someone doing? Walked in on my sister giving my friend a blowjob in the hay barn. Were you like Three's Company Zip? In high school I caught a man masturbating on the front porch of his apartment. I think because it was really early in the morning he didn't expect to see anyone, as he was just as surprised as I was. But why was he outside at that hour in the middle of winter? White Christmas. When I was in dorm in high school, I saw a guy trying to hide an entire fish behind a cabinet which was in one of my friend's room. Also a guy doing skateboard in the hallway at 3 AM, completely naked. Upvote because it's not about catching someone masturbating. Both the funniest and weirdest thing I ever caught someone doing. On my way to work we pulled up at a light next to a guy in a semi. His hand was furiously working in his lap and being so high, I couldn't see what he was doing and I naturally assumed he was jerking off. It was like a train wreck. I couldn't look away. Just as the light turned green, his hand came back up and he had a hot dog in his hand and took a bite. And I laughed so hard I could barely breathe. I wasn't driving at the time, fortunately. Time for some special sauce. I was taking a crap in the restrooms at college. Heard another person enter the stall next to me, then clearly heard them peeking over the wall at me. I looked up and said clearly, "P, can I fricking help you?" They slowly shrunk back into their stall and then left. Woke up to my roommate in college looking at pornography of Bowser from Super Mario getting jacked off by Donkey Kong. Went right back to sleep. People get killed for crap like that. Funny how this is weird if it's Bowser, but totally normal if it's Bowsette. Holy crap, there is a lot of Bowsette P. Caught a dude, at night, beating it to pictures of cats. Hey, P is P. When I was younger I came home very late at night and found my older brother, 20-ish at the time, fapping to Futurama in the kitchen. If someone entered from the front door you would hear it, but I used the back door since it was late and didn't want to make too much noise. He just rushed to the bathroom and stayed there until I went to my room, and never said a word about it. The death by snoo episode will get ya every time. Walked into the bathroom in my friend's house to find his dad naked, crouching down and rubbing his anus. Was fairly awkward having his hemorrhoid issue explained at breakfast. I feel for that man. My wife helps me out with that thankfully. A homeless dude crapping in the alley off the main road in broad daylight. He ain't even wipe his crappy booty butt as the turd fell down his drawers and immediately pulling his pants back on. Wouldn't say I exactly caught him, since he wasn't hiding it, but my SpongeBob obsessed college roommate screamed from underneath his SpongeBob bedsheets that he knew Squidward would do this when the terrorists flew into the WTC in 2001. The imagery here has me laughing so hard in a college lecture. This is amazing. I worked on the trading floor of one of the investment banks in London, the City Square Mile. One morning before the markets opened I went into the loo and opened the door to one of the cubicles. This young guy had forgotten to lock his door and what I saw was him stripped butt naked. His clothes meticulously hung up, eyes closed, head banging to the hardest crap I've ever heard. I quietly but quickly noped back the frick out of there. He never saw me or has any clue he got busted. Note, yes, I assume he forgot to lock the cubicle door. You probably just missed the part when he insufflated C. Came home to my room at fricking a loaf of bread. They peeled a good sized scab off their wound and ate it. Yuck, that's like grade 3 crap right there. Saw one girl with extremely oily hair attempting to wring it out in between classes. Masturbating and trying to feed hummus and pita chips to a person on the TV, after knocking and asking if I can come in and being told yeah, come in. What, lol. More of a WTF. We skipped school one day, went to my friend's house and his mom is there and she doesn't really care that we skipped. Anyway, his mom goes run some errands and we head to his room and are playing video games. He leaves the room and hasn't came back in about 20 minutes. So we go looking for him and he is in the living room masturbating and sees us. Doesn't stop, just says keep watch and tell me if my mom comes back. We all left and that was the last time I ever talked or hung out with him. We had a friend from college staying with us for about a week while he was applying for a job in the area. When I came home early one day, I caught him red-handed searching around in my SO's drawers. Despite our generosity and kindness to him, he decided to steal from us. I put him out. then and there, asking never to hear from him again. He wasn't stealing, he just wanted a whiff. Yo, I just realized this would probably be relevant. In primary school or elementary we had this kid who would genuinely peg chairs across the room over nothing. He just had anger issues. I remember so specifically because this little Asian girl next to me copped a chair to the head and saved me. God bless you, Bella. This isn't that weird because I understand now why it was happening. When I was in the 3rd grade I went to the boys' room and walked in on the teacher from special ed helping the wheelchair kid get on the toilet. I did not have any experience with disabilities and it really freaked me out that a grown woman was lifting this boy up with his pants down. I realized that she was helping him get on the toilet now, but at the time I did not know what I was seeing. I ran away and then the teachers announced that a new sign would be put up on both restrooms that meant we weren't allowed to go in there. They didn't explain it was because the school didn't have proper handicapped toilets and they were trying to give these kids some privacy. For context, this was 1993. My dad just came home from surgery on his anus and I walked in on him in his room spreading his butt cheeks apart taking a photo of his anus. Someone furiously masturbating into a stolen purse in the men's washroom of a club. I didn't steal it, I was playing a prank on my wife. I was 13, walked in on my dad in our Florida room, standing in the back of the room, leg up on the couch completely dressed with beer in hand. He contently watched an ebony cheerleader pay-per-view porno. He looked at me and told me to go to bed and we never spoke of it again. The fact that it was so casual made it so very unusual. Went out early for a smoke one morning and caught a guy peeping into my neighbor's window. He didn't see me because he was deeply focused on his peeping. I said, "Hey, what the frick are you doing?" It scared the crap out of that pervert as he was tripping all over himself to try to run away. Told my neighbors about it and they put up some darker curtains. Called the cops and they basically said that as long as he wasn't hurting anyone, then they weren't interested in doing anything. At a supermarket and an older well-dressed person was standing at the greens counter pinching bits of leaves off celery and parsley bunches and stuffing them into his pockets. Happy cake day. Girlfriend of college roommate trying to light a firecracker inside his butthole. We never spoke about it again. I mean, at least it was 4th of July. Couldn't sleep because my bro was in the bathroom for 3 hours with the fan running. Knocked on the door to no response and when I opened it he was standing in front of the mirror in a H-nod. He was coming off M2 but to stand there asleep for 3 freaking hours is beyond crazy. The wrestlers pack talked about how he was so high on M one time that he basically became frozen and ended up standing in one spot staring at the wall for like 3 days before a friend found him. I once caught a colleague spraying aftershave on his ass after he came back from the toilet. I asked WTF he was doing. He said he had been for a crap and didn't want to smell. Dude, wipe. Was driving home one day when I stopped at a red light. I glanced in my rearview mirror and saw a lady driving the car behind me pop as it and then look at what came out like she had no clue what it was. Then stuck it in her mouth and ate it. I think I witnessed an alien life form in a human body trying to figure out what the heck is going on with our bodies. So weird. I haven't been this disgusted in a long time. Waiting for a train whilst hungover to crap on a platform at Manchester Piccadilly station about 2003. Painfully eating a BK Whopper so I didn't die and a homeless guy walked down the platform, stopped, gazed wistfully into the distance, then proceeded to shake a long steamy turd out of his right trouser leg. I launched the remainder of the Whopper over 3 trains and puked by the bench. I really thought you meant that you were hungover and taking a crap on the platform. Had to reread. At a house party my friend threw for another friend's birthday. There was a person there that was a bit strange. Every conversation I had with them all they talked about was who they wanted to frick. Fast forward to about 1 AM or so I go to the loo for a pee. I see a room with a light on so I went to go have a look as everyone was asked not to go into any of the rooms. I opened the door. I see the person fully naked, not even socks wear on, face down, laying on top of a blow up doll we got as a gag gift for our friend. I didn't say long enough to know if they were awake or asleep. A guy having a personal and very loving moment with his vacuum cleaner. Went in the kitchen once to get a drink before bed and my mum was in the kitchen heating a tin of cat food on the hob because the cat might want it hot for a change she'd just got in from the pub BTW. This is beautiful. A friend and I came home super late when we were 16. The family computer she had was kitchen when you first walked in. A family computer in a kitchen or dining room was normal back then. Well, her stepdad was on it. He wasn't quite masturbating, he was furiously slapping his legs together while leaning back, not using any hands. There was moaning and sweat. I wish I had the words to paint this picture better, because I'll never get the image out of my head. The only saving grace was that he didn't see his cum in. That would have made the weirdness too real. Someone I know from childhood was sleepwalking. Went to the bathroom door, stripped, put clothes in hamper, closed door, opened, redressed, then went back to bed. She swore she doesn't remember it. Man, I get told all the crazy crap I do in my sleep. I never remember any of it. The best one was my friend said he had to stop me from walking around Nashville in my underwear while I told him I was looking for my digital camera. I used to live in a house that had been previously owned by my grandparents. Since my grandfather had died and, years later, my grandmother moved into assisted living, the house had sat empty for a while before I moved in. Visiting relatives had, and would continue, to rely on the house as a place to stay when in the area. However, one time my cousin came into town with her kid who had a medical appointment with a specialist nearby. She also brought a friend of hers for company, I guess. I fell asleep on the floor in the living room while we were all watching a movie. At some point after that my cousin must have gone to bed, in the master bedroom, and her friend stayed on the couch in the room that I was in. At some point very late at night and very early in the morning, I stirred awake. I didn't know why I woke up at first, and was very groggy, but as my head started to clear I noticed movement over my shoulder. With half-shut eyes, I rolled my head and looked at the couch, and saw this dumpy, short, weird as frick lady who I'd only met 3 hours before as a friend from work of my cousin, was jilling the crap out of herself not 3 feet away. I was stunned, thought I was dreaming, then was too awake to deny it anymore. If it wasn't for my cousin's kid being there and having an important doctor's appointment the next day, I think I would have lost my crap and told her and my cousin to get the frick out. Instead, I coughed hard and stood up without looking directly at the couch. I heard her make a choke gasp sound and freeze. I stumbled to the bathroom and she was on her side facing into the couch when I got back. Frickin' weirdo. Dude, should have gotten involved there. Slept over at a friend's house on a couch in his room. Wake up in the middle of the night to his 4-year-old brother just sitting on a dead face staring at me. I was kinda out of it and was just like go back to bed and rolled over. Was definitely creeped out when I woke up the next day. Thing that makes it worse is their whole family always swore up and down the place was haunted. Mayo, imagine seeing some frickin' demon child trying to freak you out by staring at you and just telling it to go to bed. My truck driver uncle was passing through the city so he stopped by to visit. He parked his truck, no trailer behind it, in front of the house. His student driver trainee stayed in the truck since we didn't know him. I was up in my room and look out the window and it looks like the guy is rocking out to some music because his body is bobbing up and down. The dude was masturbating. He had finally got some alone time. My co-worker giving my boss head. Back in college we knew a guy who was obsessed with Sweeney Todd, and also had a weird habit of covering his mouth whenever he spoke. He almost exclusively mumbled, too. One night my friend and I were hanging out with his roommates and wanted to go out for a smoke on the back balcony. It was dark, so we turned on the outside light. Through the window we saw weird Sweeney crouched in the corner with his pants down and his phone down near his junk. He saw us and said, with his hand covering his mouth, "Excuse me, ladies." I tripped and my pants fell down. Passing around an orange among friends and squeezing the juice into their eyes. It was today. I found out my girlfriend was using socks to wipe her butt. META. When I was a 3rd grader, I was in a public school and it was pretty big. It was somewhere around 12:35 in the afternoon. I was just walking around the school and I came across a nearly unvisited part of the school. The curious me was looking around the place. I stumbled upon a classroom which was a bit wrecked and it had wood windows. The walls were wood. And I saw 2 high school students fricking. They didn't see me. IDK how. I called up my friends and we all looked at the high school students fricking and we just laughed our asses off and went on our day. I'm an expat living abroad for a couple of years for scientific research. One day I was running through the town looking for my friend Robert. I checked a random house and saw a grown man on a tricycle holding 2 lollipops. He told me that he could explain, but he never actually did explain. Bikini Bottom is a strange place. On security watch on a US military vessel found a guy lightsaber fighting invisible enemies with a 4-foot fluorescent lamp while singing some anime song to himself at 2 AM. Dancing in Y-fronts wearing sunglasses in a dark room. When I woke he switched the light on and carried on dancing. Didn't want my cousin staying over after that. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.